We may not know if Rivals 2 is gonna be free to play or not, but we know that whether it's the case or not, there's going to be DLC in the game. The question is who? And the answer usually goes out to something like returning characters coming back. But I want to suggest something different. What if the first DLC character was something different? What if the first DLC character wasn't returning, but a new roster pick? If that was the case, then that list of characters that we have in our brains gets smaller and smaller and less. Out of those options, who would get that spot? Who would be the first to be there on the DLC list? Well, I'll tell you. It's probably Loxodon. See, Loxodon has always been there when it comes to Rivals, but his presence has been cloudy due to the fact that the story in the game and in the book, unfortunately, was mediocre. It would be like if Darth Vader was added in last minute. It just didn't work. In the original timeline, he's more of a secret threat that would take Zetterburn's throne if he had the chance. But in the future, he already is. He cyberized the people of Aether, including himself, and ruled with probably a literal iron fist. And that's about it. Some of you may say it sounds impressive, but again, the presentation of these ideas in the game, in the comics, either are not fleshed out or not paced well, like at all. So it kind of takes the wind out of his sails when it comes to villainy. Rivals 2 can make this different, however. We have already gotten information that Rivals 2 story mode is going to be way better than the original by a country landslide. From what we're hearing. So a reboot or a second chance to make this villain be actually remembered by the community and like beyond that would be great. Like seriously, this character has not been talked about a lot when it comes to like the space of Rivals, and that's mainly because a lot of people are talking about DLC characters that are just old characters like Sylvanos, like Edelus, like people that may not be able to make it but will come back later. But with this new second wind, he can actually be a reality. But how would he play in-game? This is probably going to be the most subjective part about this video, because there is so little information when it comes to this character, both in lore and even in basic designs, that it's really hard to pinpoint what he's going to do in game. He doesn't really have any sort of weapons like everyone else. We don't really know. I guess the only thing we really know is the element that he would be in, but that's really about it. We know that he's big. We know that he's fire, but that alone might not be enough. So let's be as tinfoil hat as possible and look at the most little pieces of information that we have. So let's look at it like this. In most material, whether in the comics or not, Loxodont has a specific pose, and in the future, he usually has this pose with fire surrounding the hands and on the field, especially when he was battling Clarin. So, also, in other artworks, his trunk is actually emboldened with fire, but we actually don't know whether or not this is canon, considering that it's one single drawing, and there have been rumors that Loxodont is actually not really, or wasn't really a part of the Fire Tribe beforehand, because every single Fire member usually has a sort of fire coming out of them in some sort of body part, and he doesn't really fit the bill. But this is kind of weird because Artemis also doesn't really have fire. So again, you could take it or leave it when it comes to this information. But let's just say he does. Let's just say he can use his trunk in order to summon fire. Fuck it. Sure, why not? With all this information, let's just spitball. For his special, let's say that it's going to be a big ball of fire that's something like the princess from Slap City. Let's just say that. And since he's big, and he has big ass hands, let's just say that this is going to be the first grappler. Fuck it, might as well. He has big meaty claws, he can grapple people, I guess. So, with his special, since there was fire started off anywhere, I would say that this special will be big ball of fire. It can be grabbed with his trunk, and he can swing it around everywhere. And once he detonates it, not only does it explode, but it creates a little burst of fire on the ground that helps him with his mobility. Screw it. He's just a mix of Edelus and, I guess, Mallow. Again, information is low when it comes to this character. We have no idea what his actual gimmick is. We have barely any clue of the canonicity of this thing, of how he battles anyway. Let's just give ourselves a little break. Either way, I think it's really likely that a villain like this is going to make, or finally make, his appearance in Rivals 2. But let's wait and see, because there's always going to be some type of curveball.